Alright, hello YouTube, this is Guardian here, and welcome to another tutorial video. We're going to be going off on something a friend of mine requested. Let's see here. And now he requested, how do I create bones? Now when I asked him, I assumed he meant physical, actual bones, like a skeleton or something like that. And I think there's a relatively simple way of doing it. So let's bring up Google here. And we're going to do a basic little thing. I accidentally opened up two. That's why it took a while to actually open up. Kind of stupid of me to do that. There we go. So we're obviously going to be using Modeler for this. So under images, let's search for, well, what we're modeling. So let's search for a bone. Now, I don't know exactly what he means. I don't know if he means a full-on skeletal system, because modeling a skeleton is just as difficult, if not more difficult, as modeling an actual human character. But modeling a single bone like this would be relatively easy. Let's go for something like that. It looks pretty basic. It's a little bit less curvy than that one, so it's a little bit. It's gonna be a little bit easier to model. Yeah, of course it does that. There we go. So we're gonna take this image, we're gonna save it, and we're just gonna take this and put it wherever we can find it. Apparently that's a deer bone, but it'll work just as well, I suppose. Has Modeler decided to crash on me? I think it did. Wait, give me a second. I'll just get Modeler running. Alright, we're back, and we actually have Modeler running this time. Now, I don't know if I've covered this in a previous tutorial. I might have not. I assume I did, and if I didn't, that's, oh well, that'll be fine. Doesn't really matter. But if we bring up display options by pressing D, and we go down to the viewport tab, we have the ability to actually project an image onto one of our viewports, which allows us to actually model an object pretty much pinpoint accuracy. So that's the right side, so bottom right. No, what am I thinking? Not viewport. Backdrop is what we want. Backdrop, sorry. We go to bottom right, because that's going to be our right side, and let's load up the image that we just downloaded, which should be here. Now it's 100 meters, or 100 millimeters, which, sure, I guess that'll work. Now here we can play with the brightness and contrast to try and make sure that we can see the entirety of the bone. And I will give you guys a couple tricks here. Let's enable pixel blending, and let's increase the quality to or the resolution to max, since we're not dealing with a lot of pictures or anything like that. Now the benefit here is that it's a we have like a single strand here, almost a it doesn't curve a lot. If it curved a lot, that means it would be a lot more 3D, and it would be a little bit more of a challenge to model. If it was curving a lot more, we would have to have multiple pictures. But since this is a pretty straight bone, I can sort of guess what the rest of it looks like. Now, the thing about this is that it really becomes about how you want to do it. There's so many ways, honestly, for me to do this, and honestly, I don't know. I wouldn't know exactly where to start. Let me see here. Airplane going past. Don't know if you heard that. I assume you did. Let's see here. because I have an idea but I don't know. I can't say I recall even how to do it. Let's grab sketch and let's draw a relatively straight line, and then right, and then what we do is under multiply. No, that's not how you do it. Need rails / curves. So we need curves, not sketches. Sorry, I just don't. It has been far too long, and I don't recall how to do this. Extender, maybe? No, it's not that. Rail bevel. Give me a second to actually figure this out. It's been too long already. Well, rail extrude is a really good way of creating something like this. And I wish I could remember how to create it, because it requires some sort of curve. Yet I don't recall. It might require a spline. No. Huh. Need rails. That's interesting, because I don't... Wow, I can't believe I can't remember how to do this, considering I've done it multiple times. Well, for one, you could always simply go with the basic style. Let's grab the length of it here. Make it roughly that thick. Grab the whole object, turn it. And then all I have to do is, let's play around with the the overall length. There we go. Press that. No. So that didn't work. And then go to knife, and let's cut off an edge about there. And grab knife and cut an edge about there. And grab a knife, and sure, let's cut it going that way as well. And with the knife, we'll cut it this way as well. So basically, I'm just trying to get the basic shape of it. So we'll do that. Let's zoom in just to make sure that we don't have any overlaying issues, which we do, which is right here. So we need to cut that as well. By going like this, let's grab the knife. This is not something that I've actually done before, so this is sort of a new experiment for me. I kind of like this idea. It's the idea of bones was something that I sort of thought of before, but I never really got into it. Ooh. Make things work out for a bit. So use the knife, and you can cut through any point where you need a curve, so we grab that and grab all of it there. Just trying to think of the best way to do this. Let's grab points then. We'll drag it like that. Grab them here, drag it like that. This I think will give you a lot more detail, that's for sure, than rail extrude. Rail extrude, what it was going to do is it was going to create a basically a rounded off object, so it'll create like a pipe, if you will. So it would create a pipe that goes like that, and then I'll just edit it. But the problem with rail extrude is that it starts off with a lot of polygons, and you don't want to start off with a lot of polygons. You want basic polygons, and then you get more detailed as you go along, which is simply how things work. Alright, so if I start rounding that off, now you see the reason why it's not quite round, if you will, is because these cuts here are too close. So let's fix that, and let's move them a bit further away. And we're slowly going to start rounding it off a lot more. Now, the benefit of something like a bone or anything like that is that it's a very organic sort of type of material. As a result, it's not gonna require a lot of work to make sure everything's perfect, because like I said, it's organic, so it's not going to be any issue to make sure all these lines line up perfectly. And you can see that it's starting to become a little bit more organic here along this side here, which is what we've been working on for a little while now. And basically that's all you do, is you just keep on working on that, and we're trying to make it less perfectly rounded and more obscurely rounded, which we will do in a few styles here. So I like what we've done with that. Made that a lot more round. Something like bones, because it's an organic material, it requires a lot of attention, which is a bit unfortunate, especially if you're first starting out as a modeler. It will require a little bit of practice, trying to get used to trying to get that sort of shape that you're looking for, because obviously I don't quite know what the rest of this bone looks like. However, I do know that here it starts to indent a bit. So if I grab that, and let's grab one side of it and push it in, indent it just a little bit. Now because it's an edge, and because it's closer to other edges, it's actually being pushed a lot more than it should be. So let's move those out of the way. Now it's starting to become very organic. As a result, we can actually start working with it through perspective mode, which in other tutorials I have, sort of argued not to do, but the exception comes with organic material, because the more weirdly shaped an organic material is, the more correct it's going to look, which is a bit of a weird aspect. So let's think, what are we missing here? We're missing a lot of detail up here with these bumps here. So I'm actually going to subdivide this like so. No, let's try smooth. No, metaform. That worked. Excellent. So metaform is a pretty good way to subdivide without losing a lot of availability for your basically your conscious, because if it starts getting way too heavy polygon and it starts messing up on you, then you're kind of going a little bit out of your league. You should never tackle heavy polygon if you don't know how to deal with heavy polygons. So I think I can just use this side view here. Let's zoom in so I can get more detail on that. There we go. Let's rotate that a little bit. Let's rotate it some more. Go. I'll drag these points down. There we go. That's starting to get the shape we're looking for. Yeah, alright. Oops, there we go. So basically all you have to do is continue playing with it. This works a lot like how any other object works. You just have to think it through, kind of play around with a lot of the polygons. As you can see, we're already running out of polygons again because we need more bumps here. So that's becoming a bit of an issue actually. I would have preferred using rail extrude if we had the ability to, but as you saw, I couldn't quite get it working, which is a bit of a shame. So as you see, we're starting to get that oblong shape of it there. We have an indent there. We can grab a couple of these here. And actually, oops, you can move them out like so to try and create that bump. Over here we can grab a couple of these polygons here and we can move them out like so to create another type of bump, because well, that's basically how bones are known. They're quite jaggedy in certain areas, and we can achieve that by doing that. So on this side, let's grab these three middle polygons or edges here. Let's pull them out so that we get that. And by now this might be too many polygons for you, and if it is, just stick with the basic shape, and then just plop a texture onto there, just like you would with any other object, and it'll still look half decent and it'll still work. You have to also remember that when you're dealing with textures at a distance, textures will look nicer because there's less detail required to render them. So especially with bones, because they're such a small object, at a distance you can kind of use low quality pictures and stuff like that, just to trick people into thinking it's a high quality object, when it's really just a low quality object with a moderately high quality texture added to it. Of course, as you add more polygons, this will become a lot smoother and a lot more fleshed out, and then it just becomes a matter of attaching a texture to it, and then you apply that texture with some good lighting or anything else, and it'll start looking nice. Because right now it's not exactly nice looking, but it's certainly a start if you're especially if you're new to the modeling business. Pull that way. So I'm starting to get that robust nature of a bone, which is what we're looking for. I hate when I do that, sorry. And we can start adding a little bit more detail into this part as well. And of course, if you have a picture and you're using the picture, you don't always have to follow the picture. You can add some more nudges and details as you please. You don't have to follow exactly how the picture looks. You could go with a different style altogether. You really just need the picture as a reference to show you kind of how it looks and the nature of it, basically. This is starting to get pretty high polygon over here, so I'm going to start moving them as bunches, which is sort of the cheater's laminate for moving polygons as a whole. It's just to move the entire bunch, and you get in their way, you'll see the error specifically. So we're gonna do this little jagged piece that comes out like that, because I kind of like the idea of that. So let's do that. My apologies here. Slightly to the side here. Let's create more robust nature with that. Let's make it a little bit more jaggy. Now I can imagine this part here being bulged out a little bit. And let's grab these two pieces here and bulge them out. And let's grab this whole side, bulge that out a bit. Let's actually bulge the point out as well. You can see we have some sort of issues here with it becoming too much of a flat surface there. So to fix that, we're gonna move this out a bit like that to try and round it off a bit more. so that we don't have that issue there anymore. And of course, all these little details, you can choose to ignore some of these details because they are just simply details. This is fine if you're aiming to look at this bone really up close and personal to it. We can even add some finer details here. Let's bring that down a little bit. Let's actually grab this middle point. If you ever hear my fan in the background, my apologies. Let's grab these 2 points, and with the stretch key, let's stretch them inward. It's not horrible looking. It's pretty good. Now we could grab this and we can name it as bone. And for sorry, God, my voice is starting to freak out here. For texture, we could try cylindrical. Can't guarantee that'd work. I would recommend using a UV map if you have a set of bones. That would work well with that. But here I might even try cubic. That might work. Let's try automatic sizing. Okay, for some reason I don't think it selected all the bones, which is kind of, or I mean all the polygons, which is kind of weird. No, I think it did. It's just using its let's try reset on all sides here, and we're gonna rotate it a little bit. Yeah, that's why. Yeah, that won't. Unfortunately, that won't work. So we're not going to use cubic. Let's try planar. This might work a little bit better then. I don't know why I'm using this one. It's not H. I'm pretty sure it's P for pitch. Yeah, it is. Don't ask me why I was doing that. I was wrong. One of the issues, obviously, with trying to get it, say, picture perfect, is that you're going to have to deal with that right there. See, that looks nice. That actually looks nice, surprisingly. Yeah, sort of one of the issues that you have to deal with is if you want to add a little bit of your own creativity to it, you're going to have to make sure you have the right textures to deal with that creativity, because if you don't, then you're going to have an issue of trying to add this because as you saw, I decided to name the entire thing bone, which would make sense if I had a UV map, which I'm kind of too lazy to make right now. I suppose I could make one. Let's go texture, new, Atlas. And I can try, but I don't know how well that's going to work, honestly. It's probably not going to work very well. Let's try UV, texture, add that, texture, UV. Wow, it's sort of placed things kind of nicely, I guess. Wow. Place that down. Like, I mean, if you do it this way, you can figure it out. You can get it working, definitely, with this specific texture, because it's really just a repeat on both sides. But you've got to sort of find out what you're selecting here, as far as these polygons go. As you can see, these ones are sort of randomly strewn about, which is the issue with the big issue with these Atlas textures. And also it does this sometimes, where it will place these polygons sort of too small. But I mean, if you spent a lot of time with this and you actually, you know, got a decent UV texture, it would work. Yeah, I can see this working. I can't do that. I can't cheat. I have to literally select all these little teeny polygons. Let's grab those and move those just a little bit other way so I don't accidentally select them. So this is how I would deal with basically creating bone structure. I don't know why it has all these points. It must be just an Atlas UV texture thing. Oh boy, and there's, I don't know where this came from. Whoops. Let's not do that again. Why is that selected? Just almost pretend you're modeling it for the second time, and you'll pretty much get the UV texture moderately right. And that's basically how I would do that. And then you just continue creating the next bone after the next bone after the next bone, and until you get all the bones that you were trying to go for in the first place. So that's how I would handle that, and I hope I helped some of you to at least some extent, because this is a confusing idea, and I probably shouldn't have deleted that. Oh, oh. There we go. So there's our moderately well detailed bone, and I think it'll work for most cases. And you could use pretty much any picture, any layout. You just gotta work with it and see what you get. And so that's that. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. This is me tuning out.